Next, we will have a chat about small business crowdfunding with Lauren Kagori from Pezesha, which is an African platform that focuses on financial inclusion for SMEs. Lauren offers a realistic take on what SMEs face in gaining access to capital and how much value could potentially be unlocked in our economies if we could just find a better way to fund small and micro businesses. Charles will guide this discussion.
We have a great conversation coming up now with Lauren Kagori from Pezesha, which is a financial inclusion platform in East Africa. Actually, you cover East Africa and West Africa, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Pezesha, and then we'll kind of talk about the bigger issue we're here to talk about, which is sort of financial inclusion for very small businesses and how we make that better.
Sure. Thanks so much for inviting us to be a part of this platform. It's so great to be connected with other like-minded businesses and organizations in this space. So a bit about Pezesha. Pezesha started in 2016 in Kenya. Started as a B2C lending company, but quickly pivoted to a B2B lending company. It's a digital financial marketplace for the underserved. So Pezesha exists to connect micro, small, and medium businesses to affordable credit. And we do this through a crowd lending platform that's powered by our own proprietary algorithm. We started in Kenya and have since expanded to Ghana. And over the last few years, since 2016, we've done just over 70,000 disbursements, totaling around $2 million. So that's a bit about Pezesha and what we're doing in East and West Africa.
Okay, that's a good quick summary. And so we'll get into the details of what its reason for existence is. And that's sort of financial inclusion for B2B, not B2C. That's another whole nother issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But so tell us, maybe a good way to start is why the pivot from B2C to B2B?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the founder of our company, Hilda Morar. Her first company was focused on B2B supply chain solutions and using technology to improve logistics within fast mover consumer goods supply chains. And I think when she exited out of that company and then started Pezesha, I think she saw the same need for the money lending value chain, that there's similar issues that could be better solved with technology. For example, one of the ways in which we work in Kenya and are now starting to work in West Africa is that we integrate into other e-commerce and e-tech platforms, because these are, for example, a platform like Jumia is interacting with thousands of SME owners who need access to credit. And Pezesha is able to come alongside that and provide a risk-adjusted lending for these borrowers. And it's an increased sales for the e-commerce platform.
Okay. So could you frame it a little bit? I don't know if you have stats at the tip of your tongue, but like give us a sense of the scale of the access to credit issue.
Yeah, sure. Sure. So I think the way to understand the issue that we're tackling, and it's really for anyone who's traveled in Africa, is you're walking on any main road in Africa, and along the side of the road, you'll probably encounter in a 1 kilometer walk at least 4 to 5 small kiosks. And these are kiosks that maybe in the West might not look like a significant shop or something, but these are really businesses in Africa. And in Africa, the most recent stats are saying about 1 million people enter the job market each month, and only a quarter of them are able to get jobs. And most of these jobs are actually coming from those exact same small kiosks that you see that are mostly in the informal sector. Mm-hmm. And so close to 80% of employment opportunities in Africa are made up of micro, small, and medium enterprises. And the number one problem that MSMEs face is access to credit. And the issue is that traditional banks find MSMEs too costly and too risky to lend to. They just don't have the data or the traditional security or collateral assets that a bank needs to vet and credit score the business. And so they're just completely, this entire sector, and that's why we say Pezesha is a financial marketplace for the underserved, because this traditional banking does not offer financial products to the sector that is generating the most employment opportunities in Africa.
Right.
And so that's the issue.
And it's
Yeah,
because
that's the issue.
they don't know how to assess the risk. Is that a,
They don't know how to assess the risk, and it's something that is just too costly for them if they had
it's
to
easier to make
start
one large
doing
loan
it.
than 1,000 small loans. That's always,
Yeah. And
thanks have always said
just
that.
a
That's
bit
always
of
true. Yeah, yeah.
exactly, just a bit about myself. I live and work in Burundi. I consult remotely for Pezesha. I used to run a business in the coffee exporting side here. And,
Mhm.
even a business that is in coffee, you receive payment in dollars. And even with dollars coming in as a payment, it was hard work to convince a bank, to convince local banks here and even regional banks that it's worth lending to, because unless you have basically, if you most banks in Africa are looking for at least 120% collateral to loan against,
Mhm.
which is just simply unattainable for MSMEs.
Right.
And so there's just an opportunity that's being missed. Um,
Right. When
yeah,
you add it all together, it's a giant available market, I guess, for that.
exactly.
Right. So talk about
And
if you,
then if you look, sorry, Charles, go for it.
okay,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
No, and if you look at it on the flip side, from an investor's point of view, there there's a large group of people who could be responsible lenders who you could be investing in, and as a new asset class that your bank doesn't give you access to. Your bank gives you access only to the traditional investment portfolios, and so that's where crowd lending in Africa is really interesting, is because we have profitable, viable businesses that need access to capital, and a growing middle class that has disposable income, and also a diaspora who wants to do good back at home.
Mhm.
And there are not many mechanisms that are connecting these two needs.
Okay, so talk a little bit about the mechanics of solving the problem. What are some of the pain points that have to be solved? And I'm sure there's a data issue and a technology issue and a bunch of other issues. But kind of walk us through some of the
Exactly.
bigger problems that
Look,
have to be solved to solve this problem.
no, you've hit the nail on the head. Data and technology; those are the
Mhm.
two big ones. So, access to the right type of data to score, and so that getting at Pezesha, we've got a pretty robust algorithm, but as we grow, we realize, okay, we need to add this in, and it's the picture, because the informal sector is so dynamic, and especially like 2020 was a very interesting year for businesses across all sectors.
Sure.
And the data you need to reliably predict the credit worthiness of an MSME is constantly changing. And so you constantly need to have technology that can update and credit score correctly. Then on the flip side, of the technology side, one of the issues that we see with both within Possession, also with the partners we work with in East and West Africa, is that you can have a great tech solution, but convincing people to use it in the way that it's meant to be used is a constant challenge. For example, one of our partners in Ghana is an agri-tech platform, and they've realized, like some of the other partners we work with in Ghana, that um, you still need field agents to
Mhm.
go alongside someone, sit with someone, teach them how to use the app or even the USSD application, and really alongside someone technologically wise. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but
Yeah.
it's basically, yeah, it's not sufficient just to have a great app. Um, there are several cultural and sociological reasons why you may still need a full force of so-called field agents to onboard future clients.
Okay, so that's a part challenge you use partners to solve, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. All right. Now you've come up with something like your own version of a credit score, right? I think is that
that's
a better
correct.
way to
Yeah.
describe it? So talk about
Yes. Yeah.
that. How you created that, and what function it serves, and do banks accept it? I would imagine that's a big challenge, or maybe not. I don't know.
So in Kenya, we've just been through a very successful process with the Capital Markets Regulatory Authority, and we were the first one of two companies but the first fintech company to successfully exit out of that 18-month process. And so yes, now we are in a position where, in Kenya at least, we are able to talk to institutional lenders and banks with authority because of that regulatory stamp of approval.
Mm-hmm.
In Ghana, we're still a way off from that. Crowd lending and Pezesha in general is new, and that'll take some time. One aspect that I think will be really interesting for fintech companies to explore in the future is that we all know that traditional banks are a bit afraid of what fintech companies are going to do in this space in the
Yeah, yeah,
future.
it's a big
And
theme of this event is the yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
as I mentioned earlier, there's this interesting disconnect between uh, young middle class Africans, those on the continent, those in the diaspora, who want to do good on the continent and who see, for example, who are disillusioned with the interest rates that they're getting in the West. There's an opportunity in Africa, and I guess it's it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 5 years about who does something to integrate this asset class of SMEs into traditional banking, or
Mm-hmm.
whether it'll just be completely taken over by the fintech space and we'll leave the traditional banks behind. But from the conversations we've been having, and just yeah, I've got a few banker friends, and from what they're saying, I think bankers in Africa at least are starting to wake up that they can't ignore fintech and that they should be doing something in this space.
Right. A couple just to understand the scale we're dealing with here. What is barking dog is an inevitable part of this experience. um,
Sorry.
the
Uh,
what is the sort of average or typical amount of capital you're providing to an MSME? Is it, or at least give us a sense of the scale that you're dealing with on the
sure.
individual level?
Yeah, so it really varies on the relationship we have with the lender. So if it's a first time lender in Ghana, you're looking at up to a maximum of 6,000 Ghanaian cedis, which is, I don't have my
I don't have
conversion
it just
calculator
page right
right.
at the tip of my tongue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In Kenya, that amount is a lot higher, and because the market is a lot more mature.
Hmm.
And with repeat lenders, we can go up as high as $10,000
Okay.
with repeat
That's
lenders.
a meaningful amount of money. Okay,
Yeah,
so we have a few minutes left. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about, just give us a picture of some of the businesses you work with.
sure. Yeah, I think I'd love to share a story of one of the businesses we work with in Ghana, and it was kind of just a great success story at the end of 2020. And one of the missions of Pezesha is to increase the velocity of money in African economies. And I love this story because it so embodies this. So one of our clients in Ghana is a leather shoe company. So they buy leather goods, they make leather sandals, and on average, they make about 120 sandals per month, and they sell these online. When a customer orders, it takes about 14 days for the customer to get it. And that's usually because there's a lag between when the business has enough money to buy leather and when they finally make it and then send it out. It's actually not a delivery issue. It's not because
Right.
these distances are really far.
It's a supply chain
And
issue, I guess.
it's a supply chain issue, exactly.
Yeah.
So this business has been operating for 2 years, and before working with Pezesha, they could just manage 120 pairs of shoes a month.
Hmm.
After borrowing from Pezesha, they were able to use that money to buy a bunch more stock and then reduce their delivery time from over 14 days to 9 days. And then in November, they would increase the production to 160 pairs. And then in December, because of the Christmas demand, close to 200 pairs. Plus, they hired 2 additional employees and invested a bit in social media advertising. And I love that story because it's just so great when you see the vision in action. It's like, yes, this is the purpose, and
Right.
this is money
That's what you're in this for,
flowing.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And so that's a story that I love to share. And then another story that I love to share is from our Kenya operations. A lot of our investment in Kenya is actually from individual investors, Kenyans on the continent and abroad, who are saying, "Yep, we want to invest in businesses." And what we're seeing there is that people are really captivated by this idea of like it's not your usual crowd lending platform where you see, okay, I invested into Martha's shop and I can see how much she's doing. It's like, no, we're spreading the investment across, and people love being able to choose, okay, and then get reports on the dash card. And it's just way more interactive than a traditional bank. And those are some of the stories we've been getting, and we've shared some of those on our website.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So actually, we just have very small amount of time left. What happens next? International expansion? Are you expanding the product suite? I mean, kind of, and I'd love to ask you about how technology is going to change the business going forward, but that would be doubling the length of time of this conversation. But quickly, what's next for Pezesha?
What's next is continued expansion in West Africa. So we hope to replicate what we've called our merchant partnership financing that we've done in Kenya with partners like Jumia and Twiga into Ghana we're also looking into Nigeria as well as some other West African countries. That's what's next. And I think if I had to project beyond that, I think I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2 to 3 years, because I think development agencies are catching on to the transformative power of crowd lending too. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few years we see closer integration between, because also remember, NGOs are a big player in this space. They see all this money coming in as remittances, and then they see these fintech companies. So we've seen in the last 2 years just a lot more connecting between those two sectors. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw new ways of using development money to grow fintech companies in Africa.
Great. That's a great note to end it on. And thank you very much for joining us. It's been a great conversation, really inspiring. I love the stories. So thanks again, and really appreciate it. And we'll have a lot more to say about this issue going forward. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Charles.
All right.
Welcome to Duda, the leading solution for SaaS platforms that are looking to add websites to their services. Let's say you're a music industry SaaS provider. Your solution stores customer data, and you'd like to leverage that information to offer websites that are automatically connected to it. You can do that easily with Duda. Our API is flexible, well-documented, and designed with application integration in mind. You can use Duda's widget builder to integrate your solution once, and then add it to all your customized templates, automatically including your service in every new website built. All websites can be dynamically connected to your system so that when information is added or changed in your product, the websites are updated automatically. Let your customers edit their websites in a custom branded experience. And with Duda's roles and permissions, you can choose what they have access to and what they don't. And of course, all Duda websites are fully responsive and can send end-user activity back to your platform along with conversion-driving analytics. And we're just getting started. Talk to an expert from our partner team to learn all the ways Duda can fit in with your business today.